Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and MetaDave is not having the best start in the M48 Grand Theft Auto 2, so he respawns in BMP and immediately at the spawn, one or two enemy lights waiting to punch his lights out, but the enemy Wheelie Boy, not knowing who to focus on, looks away for just a moment, giving Cone the opportunity to put a Heat FS into his FACE. Enemy, yes, that would be a Bradley. Launches two ATGMs into the rock he was hiding behind and gets dealt a reciprocal blow that has far greater effect by MetaDave. Now down a crew member and one suitably red Soviet in the turret. MetaDave has taken some hits and he keeps on a ticking. You have to do more than take away the potato from this Soviet boy to keep him out of the fight. Down to two crew members, but still operating two very deadly weapon systems in one highly effective combination in the form of the BMP. The kill or die light tank that has been the staple of USSR tech tree for some time, having come recently to Germany in the form of this, what would you call it, GDR version of the vehicle, pretending the Germans wanted to be communists. But the wall came down and the replays come in. So in the end, everything worked out for us. Can't say the same for that M103 Xenomorph boy. There's no amount of roomy turret space that can protect you from the amount of sustained firepower a BMP is capable of. With a 1-2 punch, MetaDave taking down his fourth target of this match, third in the BMP, finding a spot to shoot this enemy T-50, what's it? What is it? T-54? Something like that. This time using the Heat FS round to good effect. I think it's actually called a heat grenade out of this gun specifically, which just sounds spicy if you ask me. And indeed, it has a flaming effect on the enemy. I'm pretty happy to see Heat doing well. There was a time where the post-pen damage of Heat was not significant enough. It was almost like a laser beam, and it would get absorbed by a single body, so you couldn't even take out like loader and gunner. But times they change, and they change some more. Fortune spins her wheel, and the random post-pen damage effect generator has its place in the game. Enemy S-Tank, this looks like the regular tech tree version, going back to the hangar to rethink his decisions, or perhaps loading up S-Tank number 2. Who's to say? In any event, that becomes kill number 5 for MetaDave, who has been in the right place at the right time and time again here in this Soviet door wedge. And yet another enemy vehicle, this time an American heavy tank, taking it around into the engine. Never a good situation to be in when you're facing more than one enemy, as breach and turret crew have been taken down already by another, and MetaDave picks up the assist. No doubt something that is appreciated by whoever that, we'll call it a T-29, that's my guess. I have to be a little bit closer to differentiate between American meathead heavy tanks. I think there are 3 of them in the game now, before you even talk about Big Papa M103. Moving right along. 5 kills, 5 assists, and a great score. At this point, if someone managed to to take down MetaDave, he would be able to respawn in whatever he wants. And it's always nice early on in the match to take the pressure off of your spawn. This is one of those maps where spawn camping is a serious issue, as there's good cover that can be peeked over and around that looks directly into both spawn points. So being proactive and being aggressive in protecting your allies' right to respawn is the best answer that's available for the spawn camping issue in War Thunder at this time. Until the maps are fixed, it comes down to heroes of the Soviet Union like MetaDave himself, teaching campers of spawn that they can sit there, but they cannot sit there without opposition. Now, having targeted an M22, the enemy Locust clearly too intimidating for further pursuit, MetaDave finds a new place to be and new targets to see if he can see. This light tank, I think, having access to the scouting mechanic, that's yet another thing that does not show up in replays at this time. Along with the long list of bugs to the replay system, there are some features that are not available as well. But you know what? It's a whole lot better than nothing, and I'm happy to be able to feature these videos because of that. Enemy, what was that? M46, I think? Was that the Longboy M46? Not quite sure. It could have even been the heavy tank. They have a very similar looking profile, and the amount of side armor you have access to either way just isn't enough. And immediately Dave picks up another kill, bringing his total up to 7, 6 in the BMP, showing off the fantastic proactive firepower of this vehicle, now out of ATGMs, but with a couple of stellinium infused cocktails to be lobbed at the enemy. MetaDave low on ammo and running out of effectiveness in his BMP, yet at a point where he's already had an opportunity to sway the battle, really showing off where this vehicle shines, which is in ambush attacks at close range, and it's still capable in many other areas, but it is advisable to let the enemy advance. Set yourself up in a nice concealed position and let fools rush in where Stalin fears to tread. This, of course, the traitor BMP facing off against Papa Stalin's own sons and damning them for their heresy. It's Soviets versus Soviets here in a Cold War gone spicy, as Dave may... Oh, nope, that's a 6, not a 0. Never mind. He has more kill left to dish out, taking down that poor ASU in the process. Another interesting vehicle that performs well from an ambush position, but definitely lacks the versatility of the BMP. I really am going to have to spend some time in this light tank myself whenever I get around to playing Soviet vehicles more thoroughly. In terms of what it competes with in the German tree, I have to say the BMP certainly has some advantage over the premium RU-251 or the lower battle rating Bulldog, but in other ways it is distinct and has certain strengths and weaknesses that it doesn't share with those other vehicles. Would I pick this over my RU-251? Personally, probably not all that often, even though it would be in something of an up tier. The fantastic mobility of other light tanks that Germany has access to cannot be overstated, especially if you're like me and you like to hop into cast at the earliest opportunity while still being useful for your team in that first spawn. But as a stealthy vehicle, able to operate very effectively and sneakily from a hold down position as you see here, and having access to that 1-2 punch of what we just saw, the guided missile to follow up a anti-tank grenade round. Always something nice to have in the back pocket. That incredible amount of potential firepower. And both the missile and the cannon can perform quite well, as we see. Not often facing an enemy from the front, not often putting himself in a place where he gets noticed first. MetaDave makes the most out of that very effective offensive platform of the BMP-1. Loops, 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 loops. Obviously, we have the Saab J... whatever this thing is. I forget the name, okay? But the point is, first off, once again, we have the sound bug in replays, so you're not able to hear the beautiful jet engine of this aircraft. But what you can experience is 14 individual fire rockets available spaced tightly in the wings of this jet, giving you the opportunity to take down multiple soft or hard targets depending upon your aim and how much the servers are rubber banding. Yes, I saw that. As a CAS player myself, I am very proud of QWERTY's here. He, I think, having a little bit less experience than me in close air support. That's definitely something that I've been passionate about for a while, but I'm proud of his display here. It looks like that ground target was actually killed right before his rocket impacted the enemy, robbing QWERTY's of the satisfaction of a very powerful hit. In any event, it's always nice to see a jet doing well in the ground strike game and shredding through an enemy airplane as the opportunity arises is always delightful as well. The main feature of this video is the great potential that this jet has for air-to-air or air-to-ground battle under the right circumstances. And again, it's always nice when everything comes together. 2 ground kills and 2 air kills rapidly accomplished in this obviously second spawn of QWERTY's, as it's still not possible to start your match in a jet in ground RB. Beautiful aim and a little bit of dispersion, but finally finding satisfaction against the BMP. Ending the incredible destructive potential of that vehicle as we've just recently seen. And I'm not quite sure if these are the high explosive rockets or the heat rockets, so we'll look, and that doesn't really elucidate things either, but my guess is heat. I could be wrong. In any event, whichever way you go with, I think it's 36 millimeters of armor pen, that's just enough penetration on the high explosive to reach through the roof armor of many high tier tanks, and having the opportunity to take down an enemy helicopter is always delightful as well. You hovered, sir, you hovered. You should have hugged the ground. And now, the enemy helicopter much closer to the ground, but still not achieving the level of stealth that's needed to survive, as he is now a fireball until he spawns in something else. Hail to the mighty pufferfish and enjoy the flames on the front of QWERTY's aircraft. He's always been a man that is creative with decals, and I like his style in the game of War Thunder, both in how he executes the destruction of the enemy team, just barely missing the shot there. No ballistic computer available on this jet, but for those of you that have been playing top tier vehicles, the recent ballistics computer mechanic added to certain vehicles in War Thunder that requires you to set a key binding to activate the computer, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I think it should be on by default. I mean, even Luke Skywalker had to deactivate his targeting computer, but it's okay, nothing was wrong. He was just using the Force, which was the only way to accomplish incredible feats of secondary weapon accuracy in the game, but we're living in exciting new times. Suffice to say, if you play top-tier vehicles and you haven't checked out the ballistics computer, put yourself in a test flight, bind a key to activating the ballistics computer, and enjoy the show. It is pretty awesome. Been greatly enjoying that in my P-10, and I see the potential in other aircraft, especially top-tier jets, which really seem to shine in this update. We can hear the beautiful sounds of an enemy engine as QWERTY goes into a rolling scissors with what looks to be an enemy Panther, if I'm not mistaken. A very dangerous American jet that now does have line of sight on QWERTY, but he goes for the AIM-9B instead of the guns, which could have been the death of our hero. Will they be yet? We'll have to see. There's a lot of heat coming out of the exhaust pipe of QWERTY's aircraft as he launches some heat of his own into a T-34. Is that a T-34-100? Didn't get a good look at it, but at 6.7, that is a rare find on the battlefields of War Thunder. One of the few 6.7 USSR vehicles, itself being a premium medium tank with the 100mm Potate gun that we all know and love. Enemy using ESS makes himself a bit too visible to the hunting loops man, and he gets taken down with, was that a hull break? I think so. In any event, enemy jet still somewhere, presumably. QWERTY's up to 3 air kills and 4 ground, having caught a couple of BMPs in a bad position. The American light tank fares a little bit better, more by luck than skill, as the ATGM wielding, what's the name of that thing? M901, I think, manages to survive the process. But the 30mm cannons alone, capable of punching through the armor of light vehicles at multiple angles, shows off the incredible opportunity that this airplane has, as QWERTY has just about a perfect match in whatever the heck this thing is. I'm sorry, I forget the names. It's gonna be a while before I have a good handle on the Swedish stuff, and I think it'll be nigh onto forever before I get a handle on their ground vehicles because of how foreign and complex the names are to me. Shilka opening up, trying to write despair onto the face of QWERTY's aircraft. Doesn't manage to catch the nimble fighter yet, but it could be at any moment. One of the downsides to the 23 mils available to the Shilka is that they have a relatively short effective range, so it is an extremely deadly AA platform up until you get 3 or 4 kilometers away, which can happen quite rapidly. Now, moving on, RosehipSan in is this what the kids are calling a T-55 these days? A T tank. It's one of these. It's the skillet head. You all know that I suck at identifying post-war USSR medium tanks because they look so similar to me. But I do like the way they look, and this one is the one that I know has the most intimidating turret armor of its league, and along with that, a very powerful cannon as well, with that APHE that punches through just enough armor, especially for the often lighter armored targets that it can face, and still has that incredible post-penetration effect you get from APHE, and adding a little bit more bang to his buck. As always, RosehipSan decked out in tactical and tasteful decorations, describing himself as a fellow man of culture and supporting the illustrious, the delightful Iron Armenian with what's her name? Iron Chan there on the back of the turret. But no more stalling. Already, RosehipSan has picked up 3 very quick kills with good shots at reasonable ranges, and is going to accomplish yet more in this quick look at a nice match. It's always satisfying when the enemy is looking at the wrong place at the right time for you to have a good game, and that's so far what Rosehip has experienced. Seeing another enemy opening up and putting himself in a dangerously extended position. The enemy, was that a Panther F? Anyway, he got wrecked good, being at just the wrong spot. And is that an RBT? No. What am I thinking? That's a Leo. Leo at 7-7 without any kind of ability to sustain firepower of that magnitude. Even the Tiger 2 with just a bit more angle than he could dangle, getting wrangled by that powerful Soviet gun as Rosehip bounces, I think, his first shot of the match. No problems. Difficult enough already, and with the added challenge of the Bouge mustache that would make Papa Stalin proud, this Soviet star has been shining bright in terms both of lethality and survivability. RosehipSan wisely not engaging enemies who are facing him directly, but taking down foes that are busy with someone else, rescuing teammates or avenging them, making himself yet another hero of the Soviet Union. Now perched on another cliff at an angle that makes me feel a little bit of vertigo. I've been playing the S-Tank quite a bit recently, and I just know that the S-Tank would walk itself off that cliff no matter what the patch notes have been saying about fixing sliding downhill with neutral steer or while aiming. That's just not the case. The tank still does that, and it wobbles around a bit too. Not as badly as it has before some adjustments, but it's definitely an awkward boy. And look at that cute little teddy bear the RosehipSan has on the back of his tank. The Valentine's Day event, Valentine's Bear, a free decoration that was available for a pretty easy, I think, a few victories or something, but very doable and easily one of the most popular decorations I've seen lately, and it's easy to see why. RosehipSan getting good mileage out of the anti-aircraft Dushka mounted on top of the cupola, and yet falling shy of achieving the kill yet. Even so, enemy, what was that, a Tempest? Is badly damaged enough that he shan't be a problem for some time, I do suppose. Yet, hearing a jet overhead, this would be about the time that I'd be checking my minimap to find out truly if that is an enemy or an ally, but RosehipSan has plenty of other things to focus on, checking ridges for enemy presence. And we have confirmation that would indeed be an enemy jet opening up with appear to be some kind of cannons. Could that have been the ME-262 with a face full of 30mm, or was it something else? I thought I saw white and red tracer, so that makes me think ME-262, the squadron research vehicle that now that I consider, I have yet to finish spading, so I should get into playing that thing as well. Once you get the AP belts for the 30mm MK103s, life is just peachy. You can kill anything in the game if you're in the right place at the right time. Of course, in a tank, that's something that can be said in general as well, and RosehipSan showing us just the way to go. Picking a nice position, being aware of what's going on around him, and taking down foes who are focusing on someone else. A good strategy that is often effective in the game of War Thunder and paid off quite well in this instance as the match winds down. In any event, it's been very fun sharing these replays with you all. I'm a little bit less tired today than I've been the last few days, and I'm also finishing up a project that I'm really excited about, and you will be seeing that fairly soon on the channel, so looking forward to that. As always, there's a link to the Discord server in the description of this video, and I do love talking with you guys there. I do this because it's a social network for me, and I get to share my fandom of War Thunder and connect with, well, people like you. So go ahead and check that out, and of course, feel free to send me your own replays there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.